13 days from Election Day. We are glad to be with you. If you've looked at a sample ballot in Mississippi, you know that it's not just the President of the United States that is on the ballot. We've got Senate races and House of Representatives races and judicial races that are on the ballot as well. And the Republican candidate for Senate, Roger Wicker, joins us right now. First elected to Congress in 1995. He has been a senator for a long time now as well. Senator Wicker, good morning.
Richard, good to be with you. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for your time. Know this is a busy time as we have the countdown to Election Day. Good to have you back in Mississippi for a few days leading up to the election.
Right. Yes. You're talking to me from. I'm speaking to you from Jackson right now, and yes, it's great to be in Mississippi, and the Congress will not be in session until right after the election. So we're back with our constituency.
Certainly, always good to be back in the home state. Senator Wicker, I'm curious, when you are following the presidential election, what's the way that you gather information about it's going? We see polling numbers all over the place. How much credence do you put in polls? How much do you look at the state polls versus the national polls, which seem to paint a little clearer picture?
Well, you can't depend on polls, but I think they do give an indication. And based on what I'm seeing, I think there is a clear move in favor of Donald Trump. And it seems to me like he's very likely to be elected 13 days from now. Things could change, and certainly when you turn on the 7 o'clock network news in the morning, they're throwing everything they possibly can at Donald Trump. But I think the movement is clearly in Trump's direction. I was watching some folks on TV, one of the shows from Michigan. And, of course, we like to build and manufacture automobiles down in Mississippi, too. But, that's Motor City. And there's just no question about it. This electric vehicle mandate that the Harris-Biden administration has tried to foist off on the American people is just not going over well. The consumers are not going to drive an electric car. And it's really hurting job creation, and so I think we're going to carry Michigan based on that and a number of other issues. So I'm feeling pretty good about the election. I think it is good to get out and vote. I've already voted, and I understand all around the state people are voting early, going to the circuit clerk's office and using one of the number of reasons that you can use, being out of town or being over the age of 65 or having a job that takes you away on Election Day. That is, I think people are very interested in voting, and yeah, there are a lot of other things on the ballot. I noticed for some reason Kamala Harris was listed first on my absentee ballot, and then there were several minor candidates listed before I could get down to voting for Donald Trump. So it takes a little time to wade through that ballot.
Yeah, I'm looking at a sample ballot right now for the state of Mississippi, and Kamala Harris is the first name. You've got to go down 5 names before you get to Donald Trump on the ballot. So it's one of those things where you got to take a little bit of care. Just one other thought on this. You mentioned the early voting. To me, that may be the thing that is giving people more optimism than anything else. Not necessarily that Republicans are outvoting Democrats early, though they are in some places, but the percentage jump from Republicans who have voted early in the past, it's largely been a party of voting on Election Day, to the number that are voting early now it's pretty staggering and pretty significant all over the country.
It is, and it can make the difference. I'll tell you, the Republicans lost a Senate seat in Nevada 2 years ago because Republicans didn't vote early and Democrats did. And on Election Day in Nevada 2 years ago, it snowed in the northern part of the state, and the Republican candidate for Senate lost by 8,000 votes, and those votes were that they were stranded and not able to get out to vote, and trying to dig out of the snow on election day, and we lost the Senate seat. So I'm glad to see that President Trump has come around to the fact that Americans like to vote early and are voting early, and just get that over with. It's not election day anymore. It's election month, and whether you like it or not, that's the law. It's a little more restrictive in Mississippi, but we know what the law is. And I voted the other day, and there was a little bit of a line, even like at 4:30 in the afternoon. So I recommend it, and of course I'm on the ballot and hope to win, and I'm making my case. I think my TV is has started maybe yesterday, so we're going to be running 2 weeks of television and reminding people to vote for Roger Wicker for U.S. Senate, as well as all the other races that they got a choice in.
Visiting with Senator Roger Wicker. We've got limited time with him this morning. In just a second, I want to talk about some of the things that you've done, some of the places that you've been while you're back in the state. But one more kind of big picture question. There is a trend that makes it look as if Republicans are going to hold a majority in the Senate and in the House, and perhaps win the presidency as well, which gives you the opportunity for significant governance. Sometimes Republicans have not necessarily done well with that, and maybe have not gotten as much done when holding all three as they should have. Do you feel like this is a time where, if there is a majority in all three, that Republicans can get meaningful work done in a short amount of time?
Well, I hope so. And here's one change that will take place. The Trump transition team is way ahead of where they were 8 years ago. No question about it. I've been, as the leading Republican on the Armed Services Committee, talking to people involved in the National Defense Transition Team. And I know General Kellogg, who a lot of us enjoy watching on Fox News. He is one of the leaders in actually getting the Trump administration ready on the day after the election for the transition to start, picking up officials early if the voters do vote as we hope, and then being ready on January 20th of next year to get started early. I think that will be one change. I guess a lot of us 8 years ago were really surprised maybe that President Trump was so successful. Yeah. But that will be a big change. And, you know, we have not been in the majority in the U.S. Senate. If we win the majority, we will not be holding it. We'll be gaining it. And it does look like there's a chance to get 51, a good chance. And then if we can win those Midwestern states, Wisconsin and Michigan and over in the eastern part, Pennsylvania and Ohio, we can really have a solid governing majority. So I'm hoping so, and I think the polls look good, headed in our direction. But it's votes on Election Day and during these next 2 weeks that are going to make the difference.
Senator Roger Wicker, just a couple of minutes left. Your time back in Mississippi, you've been bouncing around visiting with a lot of different groups, a lot of different places. Tell us where you've been and what you've seen. Well,
I've been everywhere from Starkville to Gloucester to Vicksburg and Gulfport and Clarksdale in just the last few days. And of course, as someone who would be chairman of the Armed Services Committee, if we win the majority, if the Republicans win the majority, my principal concern is getting back to Ronald Reagan's concept of peace through strength. But the people who really watch what's happening on the international scale will tell you the United States is not ready to face North Korea, China, Iran, and Russia all at the same time. And we see now that North Korean troops are being sent to aid the Russians. It is just more proof that they're all in it together against the forces of democracy. And the best way to stay out of a war, according to Ronald Reagan, and I subscribe to that, is to be so strong that nobody tries to attack us. And so I think we have a very good opportunity in Mississippi to contribute to that and make sure we're strong enough to keep the peace. Peace through strength worked in the 1980s with Reagan, and it'll work with us today.
Senator Roger Wicker, no, it's a busy day for you. We appreciate a few minutes of your time this morning. Safe travels, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you for what you're doing, and tell Paul hello, and we're thinking about him.
Absolutely, we'll do that. Senator Roger Wicker joining us on the Gallo Radio Show. This is SuperTalk Mississippi.